Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. With me, your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Wednesday edition of the broadcast. Wednesday, May 23rd into Thursday, May 24th, 2012. Thanks so much for being with us here tonight, and we are live with you. We are going to be getting in to some news for you here tonight, and we're also going to be doing our continued series of reading about archaeological discoveries in ancient America. Very intriguing and very, very much tying into my current headspace of research that I'm working on for the news film. So I've been enjoying this reading quite a bit. Yeah, I love it, man. You guys see? You guys catching the fucking bug like I am. I love it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the chat room, a lot of listeners out there that send me emails. I get on this stuff, start researching, I start telling you guys about it. You guys start getting on it. It just, this shit will set you the fuck on fire when you start looking into it, man, because, my God. I mean, you remember that, where I said about having to rewrite a timeline for science, religion, history, everything? I mean, it's really what it is. And the tops of their skulls painted red like that. Well, they don't know whether that's painted red or oxidation, but I have video that's going to be in the new film, actually, of a bunch of Caucasian mummies they found in Florida back in the 80s, I think it was. And they all had red skulls like that, and they were, thousands of years old. But it's fascinating stuff. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. That's TheGlobalReality.com. There you'll find everything pertaining to my work, including all my documentary films I've made up to date. They're all up there for sale. 9/11 New World Rising, Secret Right Volume 1, Secret Right Volume 2, which is on DVD and Blu-ray as well. All my video clips are up there. We also have the Chipping banner up there. We have one that's for the bills for the month, and next week will be our fundraising week for that. We'll have until Thursday to meet the rest of the goal for that, so keep that in mind. And then this week we had a goal set of $300 for our film budget, of which we have about $2,500 left to go. But we needed to get about $300 in this week for that, and we've only gotten about $20 in the past week. So we definitely need your support right now, folks. And like I've said before, regardless of what happens, I'm going to continue to do what I have to do to get this work done in whatever form that I have to do that. And, it may be something that, doing what I have to do may entail doing something that a lot of you out there may have a problem with. But, if that's what I've got to do, that's what I've got to do if I'm not going to get the financial support I need in to do my work. And right now it's not looking like I'm going to get that. I'm getting kind of worried. But out of the clear blue sky, I really was worried about this last night. I was, talked about it on the show last night. Talked about the importance of this, have stressed that more and more. And pretty much last night, I was pretty much of the opinion that and still kind of am. I don't know, unless something drastically changes, that this film may be off. I may not even be able to do this film. But as I've said, I'm still going to do anything in my power to change that. Well, lo and behold, after being kind of depressed last night, thinking that this wasn't going to happen, got an email today about almost a year ago. I guess it was last July. It was very shortly after my dad passed away. I was contacted by a TV production company called Left Right Productions, who've done all kinds of television shows for all kinds of channels. You can go look at their website. And I was contacted by them. At first, I thought it was a joke until they called my roommate at the time. They called her cell phone, though, trying to get a hold of me. They really wanted to get a hold of me, and they did the same thing again today. And my roommate didn't live here anymore, but they called her. And so last July, I had a Skype conference with this woman from Left Right Productions. And she told me they were interested in having me, I think, either as a recurring guest or maybe even in the function of a host. I'm really not for sure. For a television show that was going to be in production for cable that was going to be about homicides, past and present, and homicide investigation type show. And the talent agent there said she was a big fan of my show and thought I'd be great for this show. So I had a Skype conference with her, and I couldn't get up my equipment to work, and I was flying around. I hadn't shaven. I was all, dark circles under my eyes. I mean, it looked like hell. And I didn't find out until I got on the Skype conference that was my audition. And so she said everything went great. She said they really wanted me, but I never really heard anything back. So I just assumed that, as a lot of times there's many shows pitched every year, and some of them go into production, some of them don't. So I just assumed from what she had told me that it hadn't gone into production. But apparently, I'm going to call her tomorrow and talk to her tomorrow. But apparently, this is the back in motion again. And so, because it's back in motion again, they're at the point where they're contacting me. I don't know what all yet it's going to entail, but it sounds like this is for real. Well, especially what links they've gone to get a hold of me and some of the things she said and dropped. I mean, she specifically wants to talk about what my plans are for the rest of the year. That combined with right now we're having the end of regular season programming for television. You're having all the season finales and stuff right now. Well, the way it works with TV shows and stuff is they film during the summer for the fall program. So the fact that she's getting a hold of me right now, right before the fall, for the summer shooting starts for TV shows, has got me thinking that this might actually be the real thing. I'm blown away by this because I don't know what fucking business I have being on TV, to be honest with you. I don't give a fuck about TV. I don't watch it. I never have any. There are people out there who spend every day of their lives trying to get on that damn thing. I don't want to be on that thing. But, if they want to put me on it, they think I'm the man for the job, and they want to pay me. Well, because all I'm thinking about here is, especially after last night, thinking that I was going to have to end this project and then wake up today, it was kind of like a sign to me. You know what I mean? It was kind of like a sign, like, here it is, man. You want this? Yeah, there it is. Grab it. Because if this turns out and pans out to be something real, we may very well be able to fund this whole project and dig that way, man. Because I was talking to my buddy about this a while back. The lowest people on TV get paid a lot, but I don't know any of the details. I don't know what company it's for. If it was something like, I know that this Left Right Productions has done work with, like Viacom properties, like, VH1 and Nickelodeon, stuff like that. I'm like, that would be where I would draw the line. You know what I mean? It would have to, I just got scruples, man. I remember one time my dad was wanting me to go to work for Halliburton in, Saudi Arabia or something because I could make $500,000 in a year or something. I'm just like, I can't do that. I can't go work for the devil like that. And I feel the same way about this. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I'm going to play it. I'm going to let it ride out. I'm going to see, what they want me to do, what the details are, what the fine print is. I'm thinking it may be something like, kind of like what they have on Ancient Aliens, where they have, the different characters that they kind of cut to and they talk about whatever. Sounds like it's going to be something like that. I don't know. I'll let you guys know as soon as I know any details. But, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, people have been asking me. I think people, when I first brought this up a year or so ago, I think people kind of thought I was bullshitting on that or something, and no, I wasn't bullshitting on it at all. But I hadn't really been thinking about it. I just kind of, said, okay, whatever. Something comes of it, it does. And if it doesn't, I feel the same way. But, I kind of feel like this may be an opportunity to get some cash coming in for the operation where we could do a big thing. And not only that, think about this. If I maybe get my foot in the door doing a TV show, maybe I can somehow, pitch, be in front of the right person at some point, and pitch my idea I have of doing a television show based around the dig of the rock wall. And that would fund the dig and get it documented and everything else. And that's an idea I have and something I'm thinking about, this could be a stepping stone towards. But like I said, I mean, if it's for, I'm going to need to know every detail about the company, all the way up the chain. What company is this? Who's it going to be distributed by? If it's Viacom and some to Redstone, I'm going to have to say no. I mean, that's just my morals. You know what I mean? I could be missing out on a big opportunity, but it's going to have to be a company that is going to have to be a lesser of all the evils. I mean, think about it. No matter what it is, it's going to be one of these motherfuckers, isn't it? There's only 3 or 4 companies that own all media now. So I mean, I'm thinking that it's probably going to be. I mean, what Paramount, Warner Brothers, Viacom. I mean, 20th Century Fox. I mean, you're either fucking way. You're talking about big globalist fucking organizations, and I kind of have scruples about that, but at the same time, I don't have all the details yet to make an assumption on that. But I mean, last time when I was even considering, I got all this hate mail from people. And by the way, those people who sent all that hate mail never donated $1. But they want to tell me how stupid I am and what a fucking retard I am for even considering doing this. And the way I'm looking at it's like, what did I say? A couple of nights ago. I mean, I've said it many times here. I'm going to do what I got to do to keep this thing going. If that means taking a TV show offer that I get to get some funds going in for this, that's what I got to do. But for right now, I got to survive and keep this film going until that happens. Who knows when that's going to be? But I guess I'll find out tomorrow. But it may put this whole project. I mean, if I go do this, it's more than likely going to put this whole project on hold, at least probably for the summertime. Maybe longer. I don't know. She said they want to know what my plans are for the rest of this year. I mean, this sounds like this is some serious shit. And they already said it would be location shooting. I'd be going all over to different locations, going to this city, going to Memphis and recreating the Martin Luther King assassination and doing that. It would be on location shooting. So, I mean, shit, they're probably going to fly me all over hell and creation. I don't really want to fly anywhere, though. I mean, these people got to understand I'm off the grid. You know what I mean? The whole ID to get on a plane. I have a press pass. I'll tell you what, that press pass I got a few months ago, that motherfucker's worth its weight in gold. I'll tell you what. I just wear the motherfucker around with me everywhere I go now. People just completely acquiesce to me. It's awesome. It's rad. Finally I get a little respect. I roll my camera. People don't look at me like I'm an idiot. People are like, oh, you're all right. Come on. Come on through. See my picture on it. Shit's totally accredited. It's got an 800 number on the back they can call to verify my credentials. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of off the grid. I don't know what this is going to entail. I'm probably on every. I just wonder if they know who they're getting here. I mean, she said she liked my show. You know what I mean? But I mean, don't you know who I am here? I mean, goddamn, I'm the guy who told. Me and Lee Rogers like 3 or 4 years ago, 2008 or so. both, like, at the same time went on our shows and said and asked the TSA to put us on the no-fly list. Asked Homeland. We were like, please, we want to be on there. It's a a mark of honor. It's a badge of honor. Please put us on the list. I don't even know if they'll let my fat ass on an airplane. I'm not as big as Kevin Smith, but they wouldn't let his fat ass fly either. I don't know. Maybe they're going to have to send me something like the Madden Cruiser or something. I'm going to tell them I don't like airplanes. That's exactly, yes. Synchronicity, stopping evil. Yeah, the fucking Madden Cruiser. Me and you were on the same fucking wavelength, buddy. We were on the same wavelength. Yeah, I want a motherfucking RV, fucking Madden, dude. I want the old Madden. That fat fuck's retired. He doesn't need that thing anymore anyway. Dust off the old Madden Cruiser, put some gas in that motherfucker. I want the big fucking turkey to pass out at the end of the thing, too. That's too fucking funny. I was just thinking the same thing. I want to cruise around the goddamn Madden Cruiser. I'll go from city to city in that thing, and I'll do speaking engagements while I'm filming for the show. But you know what I mean? I mean, it's things like that. I mean, do they know who they're getting here? Have they? I mean, they did they saw my face, my unshaven, fucking dark circle under my eyes from staying up all night working on movie shit. Face. I mean, I understand I got a face for radio. I mean, I got a gut. I got long hair. I got tattoos. I mean, what the fuck are they thinking? I mean, maybe they're gonna put me in a in a suit and a tie and something like that. Maybe I don't know. They can make fucking they can make David Hatcher Childress look good on TV. But really, I mean, I just thought about that. It's like, what business do I have being on TV anyway? I really don't have any bit. But again, if somebody asks me to do something and they think that I can do it, and these people sound like they think I can do this, then, I'm willing to give it my best shot and try it at least. But like I said, it's got to fall. It's got to fall. Yeah, I think that was what she said. I think that was kind of the appeal. And also, I think they like my speaking voice and the way that I talk and stuff. Oh, no, I mean, that's the first thing I'm going for. I mean, yeah. Well, I got to have that. That's the first fucking thing I'm going for. You kidding? Have you seen how long my fucking hair is, dude? My hair is long as shit. If I was to fucking spike that shit up like Apocalypse, dude, it'd be like, it would just dwarf that shit. Oh, yeah, I'm going for that. I got to spike that shit up because I'm kind of balding on top, but I got the party mullet still, or the fashion mullet still going on. I got the fucking, well, it's not a mullet. It's just I have long hair. And when I pull it back in a bow, it kind of looks like, when I pull it back when I tie it back, it looks like I have a fucking mullet, even though I don't have a mullet. But anyway. Yeah, I'll just fucking grease all that shit up and spike it up to the fucking moon. And we'll be talking about, Martin Luther King or something in Memphis, and they'll be like, true stories of homicide in Memphis with me, your host, Josh Reeves. And then it'll cut to me, and it'll be like, yeah, I think that the CIA was involved in Martin Luther King's assassination, most definitely. Their fingerprints are all over it. But I think the thing that nobody's really looking at here is aliens. Oh, no. That's another thing I don't think they're getting. That's another thing I don't think they know they're getting. I mean, how they know I'm not just going to, crank the suck Satan's cock on them or something. I mean, I'm a fucking loose cannon. What are they thinking here? I don't know, man. I have the same attitude about I had about this last year when I heard about this. We'll see what happens. Don't start shitting yourselves thinking I'm selling out or anything like that. My God. Like I said, I don't give a fuck about TV. That shit ain't real anyway. If they want to put me on that illusion and give me their illusionary Federal Reserve notes, I'll take that money and shove it right back up their fucking ass and expose the rock wall and all the rest of this stuff. How about that? Because right now, I mean, I'm hurt. I have no budget for a film. We have very little cash here at the network at all because it's all gone to bills this month. And, this is an opportunity that may be able to, we may be able to fund the operation here for a good long while. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check out what it's going to entail. Like I said, I don't even know any of the details or what they're going to ask of me or anything else. And they also got to understand, where I'm coming from and where I'm at. I'm not plugged into the societal matrix in ways that everybody else is, I don't own a cell phone. I don't, it's just all that kind of stuff. Being off the grid. But, TV shows and stuff like that, you probably got to, you have to pass a physical for, insurance purpose, something like that. Fuck. I don't know if I could do all that. Who knows? So there are a lot of factors that could cause this to not work out. But, as I said, they seem to really think that somehow I'm the man for the job. So, if they think I'm the man for the job, hey, who am I to argue, right? So, we'll see what happens. But we do need to get at least $200 or $300 in here immediately so I can continue work on this film. Because right now I'm at a standstill. We haven't got anything insignificant, so I can't continue to work on this film. And as we were talking about in the chat room earlier, this stuff, I'm just on fire from the research of this stuff and finding out more stuff just before the show tonight and continue to work on it. And it's mind-blowing, and I want this information to get out as soon as I possibly can. But if I have any more delays from not having any funds to do this, it's not going to happen. And then I'm probably going to be spending, months and months working on a TV show, and there's not going to be any time to work on that then. So I don't know. This thing may work out, it may not. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm not really worried about that because that's tomorrow. That's not right now. That's in the future. And right now, today, the network needs your support, and this film needs your support. So please go to theglobalreality.com and support our work so this work can continue. Because if it doesn't work out, then we're going to be right back at square one trying to figure out how to do this. And like I said, I won't be stopped. Let's be clear about that. Let's see if we have any emails here tonight. This is from Omar. He says, "Good evening, Josh. I want to thank you for helping me view the show Ancient Aliens with a skeptical eye. You're right on the money when you mock Daniken, Childress, and Supocalypse. They barely touched on the Temple of Hathor Dendera. I'd say it was about 30 seconds worth of time travel Stargate theory. It's slowly but surely catching up with all of your videos and shows. I look forward to listening to live for the first time tonight. Thanks for your time. We are out here awake and listening." Thank you, Omar. Actually, I don't have anything against Daniken. Von Daniken, he's a Jesuit. Fuck him. Supocalypse, he's Von Daniken's little henchman, by the way. That's a true story. But David Hedger Childress, I don't really have a problem with. I make fun of his voice because he's funny. But I don't really have a problem with him. He's put out some good stuff. He's done some good work. I don't really have a problem with anything. But those shows are they're just written and scripted so that at the end of it, you have more questions than you have answers. They don't really give you any info. And I suspect that whatever TV show I go on, whatever they have me do, it'll probably be the same thing. But I don't know. Maybe they want my research and my expertise of piecing things together and stuff like that. Who knows? But yeah, David Hatcher just some kind of. He's just funny. He's like the video where he's talking about those big, giant black stone balls in South America. And he just over and over, he's just big, giant black balls. Giant balls. We don't know where these balls came from. Maybe they come from some kind of spaceship with big black balls. It's greatness. But no, I mean, I don't mean any offense to Mr. Childress there. I'd like to have him on the show sometime. I don't mean any. It's all in good fun whenever I do the voice of him. Now, I mean, I guess it's hard for people to distinguish sometimes. I think, just because I'm mocking somebody doesn't mean I'm not a fan. The rest of these emails were just not really show stuff. It was just kind of stuff about info and stuff from people about went out to mounds. We had several people who've gone out to some mound locations for us. Can't wait to see some of that footage. Let's get into the news tonight. Missing girl buried in murdered mobster's tomb was kidnapped for Vatican sex parties, claims Catholic Church's leading exorcist panel. This is the same guy that said yoga and Harry Potter are the work of the devil. That's a real piece of work right there. The Catholic Church's leading exorcist priest has sensationally claimed a missing schoolgirl thought to be buried in a murdered gangster's tomb was kidnapped for Vatican sex parties. Father Gabriel Amorth, 85, has carried out 70,000 exorcisms. That is a lot of possessed people. Spoke out as investigators continue to examine mobster Enrico De Pedici's tomb in the hunt for Emanuela Orlandi. Last week, police and forensic experts broke into the grave after an anonymous phone call to a TV show said the truth about Emanuela's 1983 disappearance would be found there. And although bones not belonging to the mobster were recovered, they have not yet been positively identified as hers. However, Father Amorth, in an interview with La Stampa newspaper, said this was a crime with a sexual motive. It has already previously been stated by deceased Monsignor Simone Duca, an archivist at the Vatican, who was asked to recruit girls for parties with the help of the Vatican gendarmes. I don't believe that this was I think somebody's lying here strictly because, well, frankly, because this was heterosexual activity being claimed here. We all know those guys fucking putt from the rough in the Vatican. I mean, they're all Peter Puffers. So I think just on the basis of the fact that this is involved the rape of a female and a sex party at the Vatican with a female tells me that somebody's bullshitting. Really. Are monkeys self-aware? Scientists discover brain cells linked to self-awareness and empathy in humans. In humans, we believe a small part of the brain known as the anterior insular cortex controls our self-awareness and our empathy. Within that region lies a unique brain cell, the von Ecomo neuron, or VEN, the VEN, which seems to lie at the heart of our consciousness, helping us feel those feelings which give life meaning. From love and confidence to hate and embarrassment. For a long time, the VEN was assumed to be unique to humans, great apes, whales, and elephants. But now, Henry Everard, neuroanatomist at the Max Planck Institute for Biological Cybernetics in Thunberg, Germany, has discovered that the VEN occurs also in the brains of macaque monkeys. The size and distribution of the monkey VEN suggests that it shares some of the same characteristics of the human VEN. We're starting to see some of this. We've had several stories about this week, haven't we? Starting to see the having access to these genetic codes. We're actually starting to see the blueprint of this Anunnaki manipulation, aren't we? Everard said that this means other than previously believed that highly concentrated VEN populations are not an exclusivity of hominids, but also occurs in other primate species. The VEN phylogeny needs to be re-examined. Most importantly, the very much needed analysis of the connections and physiology of these specific neurons is now possible. The insular cortex, or simply insula, is a hidden region folded and tucked away deep in the brain, an island within the cortex. Within the last decade, this area has emerged from the darkness to become known as having a key role in diverse functions, usually linked to our internal bodily states, to our emotions, to our self-awareness, and to our social interactions. The very anterior part of the insula in particular is where humans consciously sense subjective emotions such as love, hate, resentment, self-confidence, and embarrassment. In relation to these feelings, the anterior insula is involved in various psychopathologies. Damage of the insula leads to apathy and to the inability to tell what feelings we or our conversational partner experience. The von Ecomo neuron occurs almost exclusively in the anterior insula. Until recently, it was believed that the VEN is only present in humans, great apes, and some large brain mammals with complex social behavior such as whales and elephants. In contrast to the typical neighboring pyramidal neuron that is present in all mammals in all brain regions, the VEN has a particular spindle shape and is about 3 times as large. The new research provides compelling evidence that monkeys possessed at least a primitive form of the human VEN, although they do not have the ability to recognize themselves in a mirror, a behavioral hallmark of self-awareness. Oh, yeah, they had to add that in with the Anunnaki DNA now, didn't they? You know, I took a lot of flack 3-4 years ago for going on my radio show and saying that 9/11 truth was going to be one of the issues that was going to be used to bring the United States down. I still believe that wholeheartedly because they've associated it with people who have been, you know, the enemy. You've had Dinner Jacket in Iran making claims about, you know, 9/11 being a conspiracy, because I said that what they're going to do is they're going to leave out the connection to the Mossad and the connection to the priest class and all this other stuff and strictly blame it on Bush and the United States government. It's going to be used as a way for people around the world to unitarily be against the United States. And I think that's still going to be an outcome. And here we are. 9/11 truther leading Egyptian presidential race. I mean, this is not going to end well. An Islamist who believes that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on the United States were an American conspiracy is the front runner in Egypt's presidential race, a new poll shows. So I think they may have already had this vote, but I don't know if he won or who won or whatever else. But I think it's just interesting that, you know, here we go. Oh, it's those dirty Muslims that believe 9/11 was a conspiracy, and if you believe it, you're with them. Who didn't see that coming, right? A teenager hanged herself after becoming convinced that the world would end in 2012 after researching doomsday scenarios on the internet. An inquest heard. Well, that's just natural selection. You know, I mean, you can't really fault anybody for that. Really, it's natural selection. You're dumb enough to think that, I mean, what the fuck? If the world's going to end, why would you kill yourself? That makes zero sense. Oh my God, I found out my doomsday 2012, we're all going to die. Ah! You know, or fucking, hey, I mean, it makes no sense. If you knew it beyond any shadow of a doubt, why wouldn't you just, okay, you know, live your life as best you can until then? Schoolgirl Isabel Taylor, 16, turned to Buddhism after becoming fed up with the complications and injustice of the modern world. But while searching for answers, she began researching doomsday scenarios, becoming convinced a nuclear reactor meltdown would end civilization in the coming months. Now, that's interesting. That's interesting because I got to say, in the past, I experienced that. Doing research on Buddhism. Years before I ever found out about a lot of this stuff, and I remember doing and I would come across this kind of stuff, and it makes you wonder. Because I know Alex Jones does this. That's why he tries to have an article out there about every topic there is with his name on it, so that when you go to a search engine, you find him first, and you get stuck there and you don't go any further. That's the trap that he is. But I do find that interesting because I've experienced that same thing. You know, so you go looking for Buddhist stuff, and all of a sudden you come across all this truther stuff. Becoming convinced a nuclear reactor meltdown would end civilization in the coming months. She had researched on the internet how to overdose, but was found hanged in her bedroom by her mother. She was probably, I mean, I've talked about this before. The info and information, it's like drugs and alcohol, man. Some people, they can pour all the drugs and alcohol in the fucking planet down their gullet and get fucked up out of their mind. They'll be just fine. Won't even faze them. But other people, because we're all different, physiology's a strange thing. Well, other people can have one drink or, one toke of a drug or something and just be completely out of their mind crazy. Why? Well, some people that are already kind of not there anyway, and the world makes you crazy. Whether you're crazy or not, the world can make you crazy. And these people are very sensitive, man. Bipolars and manic depressives and everything else. And sometimes, giving that person drugs and alcohol is like throwing fuel on the fire. It just, exacerbates it, makes it way worse. And it's been my experience that this type of information can do the same thing, has the same effect. And, I really want to point this story in the direction of the person who sent the email that we covered last night, wanting to try to bribe me with $500. Again, you should just donate that money because we really need it. As they're trying to get me to read Lost Book of Inky all over again for $500 and not cuss, even though, Inky pours the semen into the womb. It's all right there. It's not child material anyway. But, sir, maybe you want to reconsider that. Maybe you want to wait till they get, your children, let them be kids, man. Let them grow up. Slowly give them this information. But, do you want to have this kind of thing on your hands? 16-year-old girl, a redheaded girl, young, cute, full life ahead of her. But because those neurons and the brains are not functioning at an adult level yet, it can be like throwing gasoline on a fire. Like I talked about with the whole Trayvon thing. We were saying, oh, well, he had weed in his system, but that doesn't mean he's bad. Well, smoking weed's not bad. No, maybe not. But when you give it to people whose brains aren't all the way developed yet, and people who are going through puberty and hormones and everything else, it can be like gasoline on a fire. And, here, she's finding out about 2012 stuff, reading conspiracy theories, 16-year-old girl, she goes and hangs herself. And, this is why I've been warning people about these people like Alex Jones and these hucksters and these fearmongers and everything else for almost 5 years now. That's why I've told you they're dangerous. Because they can make people react in ways like this, killing themselves, killing somebody else. Because they believe it's real and they don't fact check it, and boom, they go off half-cocked and do something stupid like killing themselves or somebody else on, conjecture and lies and conspiracy theories. It wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if this young girl had heard some of Alex Jones' stuff. But, this kind of just proves my point of what I talked about last night about, my show is not for kids, will never be for kids, and I personally don't think that, you should have. But some people, some people's kids are cool. I have people who have kids who are 8, 9, 10 years old listen to my show, and it doesn't faze them. But again, you just have to be very careful. Iran says discovery will collapse Christianity. Iran's Basij Press is claiming that a version of the Gospel of Barnabas found in 2000 will prove that Islam is the final and righteous religion, and the revelation will cause the collapse of worldwide Christianity. Turkey confiscated a leather-bound text written on animal hide in an anti-smuggling operation in 2000. Turkish authorities believe the text could be an authentic version of the Gospel of Barnabas, one of Jesus' apostles and an associate of the Apostle Paul. This version of the Barnabas Gospel was written in the 5th or the 6th century, and it predicted the coming of the Prophet Muhammad and the religion of Islam. The Christian world says it denies the existence of such a gospel. However, religious scholars have said another version of the Barnabas Gospel, discovered a century ago, was written less than 500 years ago, which would post-date Muhammad. And, I've talked about for years about, that's how I knew they were going to go into Iran next, because I started looking into the antiquities there and what they have there. They will say Iran has nuclear weapon capabilities, and they will nuke the fuck out of those people if they think that this thing is going to come out and challenge Christianity. And people will be calling for that. And this could be for years why they've been fear-mongering, ramping up the Iran thing. We know that Saddam Hussein was getting ready to open up a library. He was getting ready to rebuild the Temple of Babylon. He was going to open up a library with all these Sumerian cylinder seals and clay tablets and all this stuff that were going to supposedly show things like, the Jews not being the real chosen people, but the Semitic Muslims and all this stuff. And you saw what happened to him. They cashed his check. Perched on cliff edges, jars and wooden coffins containing human remains offer tantalizing evidence of a completely unknown ancient people in Cambodia. 10 burial spots have been found by archaeologists in the past 9 years, one 160 feet above the ground. What? The idea, says researcher Nancy Bevan in an interview with National Geographic, was that anyone trying to disturb the burials would break their neck. Bevan's team from New Zealand University of Otago have radiocarbon dated the remains to between AD 1395 and 1650. Dr. Bevan, who is currently in Cambodia, says that this period coincides with the decline and fall of the powerful kingdom of Angkor, builders of the famous Angkor Wat temples, which was seated in the lowlands. Funeral practices in the Angkor Kingdom and its successors involve cremation rather than anything remotely like those found at sites we are studying. Oh, so these are a different type of people. These could be the same people I'm on the trail of right now. The stark difference suggests that in cultural terms, these unidentified mountain dwellers were a world apart from their lowland contemporaries. Through our work, we hope to broaden the understanding of this history beyond the legacies of the great Khmer Rouge, the Khmer Kingdom, along to those who had lived within its margins. Dr. Slan Halcrow says that archaeological findings from another of the 10 sites which she and Dr. Bevan are currently preparing for publication will offer important new clues about who these mysterious people were, their culture, trade connections, and biological adaptation to the environment. And again, more archaeological discoveries coming out, more things being found. Here's some more. Got more for you here. Tiny 2,700-year-old seal unearthed that bears the name Bethlehem and could prove the birthplace of Jesus was the bustling market town described in the Old Testament. It's about the size of a 1 penny piece, but its significance is huge. Israeli archaeologists revealed today that they have unearthed an incredible 2,700-year-old fragment that could prove the Bethlehem, as described in the Old Testament, really existed. The tiny artifact is part of an ancient seal that's believed to be the oldest object ever found with the name Jesus, traditional birthplace, inscribed on it. According to experts, its existence provides vivid evidence that Bethlehem was not just the name of a fabled biblical town, but also a bustling place of trade linked to the nearby city of Jerusalem. Ed Shukron, the authority director of excavation, said the find was significant because it is the first time the name Bethlehem appears outside of the biblical text from that period. Shukron said the seal, 1.5 centimeters in diameter, dates back to the period of the first biblical Jewish temple between the 8th and 7th century BC, at a time when the Jewish kings reigned over the ancient kingdom of Judah, 700 years before Jesus was born. Yeah, here we are, back to the same people. Amorites, Phoenicians. The seal was written in ancient Hebrew script from the same time. Pottery found nearby also dated back to the same period. And it does look very similar to some of these things that have been found on and things in the United States, such as the Bat Creek inscription. Looks very close to that. We know that's of Semitic origin of the Amorites, Phoenicians. Drop a link to this in the chat room for you so you can see that. The evidence for Planet X, the mysterious hypothesized planet on the edge of our solar system, has taken a new turn thanks to the mathematics of a noted astronomer. Rodney Gomes, an astronomer at the National Observatory in Brazil in Rio de Janeiro, says the irregular orbits of small icy bodies around Neptune imply that a planet 4 times the size of Earth is swirling around our sun in the fringes of the solar system. Planet X, perhaps misnamed now that Pluto has been demoted to a dwarf planet, has been widely hypothesized for a decade, but has never been proven. Gomes measured the orbits of 92 Kuiper Belt objects, small bodies with dwarf planets, and said that 6 objects appeared to be tugged off course compared to their expected orbits. Now, that is interesting. He told astronomers at the American Astronomical Society on Tuesday that the most likely reason for the irregular orbits was a planetary mass solar companion, a distant body of a planet size that is powerful enough to move the upper Kuiper belts. Well, I think Planet X is kind of a misnomer for this. Sometimes people relate Planet X to Nibiru. I think that's the wrong thing, too. I think this is more probably could possibly be Nemesis that we've talked about. The evidence definitely is showing that. I mean, with the effects on the Kuiper Belt, with the effects on the sun, with all these meteorites and asteroids that we're getting. I mean, that's what happens when you have this electromagnetic pull on the sun. It just, starts sucking things in and throwing it back towards Earth. He suggested that the planet would be 4 times bigger than Earth, around the size of Neptune, and would be 140 billion miles from the sun, or about 1,500 times further than the Earth. Alternatively, an object the size of Mars, or on an irregular orbit that brought it to within 5 billion miles of the sun, close to Neptune's orbit, could be the solution. Yeah, because we covered recently in a recent news story here, planets are like free floating. They say that planets just go wherever they want and get pulled in. They're constantly roaming. So yeah, it may not be a conspiracy. It may just be something that has gotten pulled into our orbit recently. However, due to the distances involved, it would be tough for Earthbound astronomers to catch a glimpse of the hypothetical newest member of our solar system. Even non-planet Pluto is hard to spot thanks to the distances involved. While other astronomers are on the astronomical fence, they have applauded his methods. Roy Barnes from the University of Washington told National Geographic that Gomes has laid out a way to determine how such a planet could sculpt parts of our solar system. So while, yes, the evidence doesn't exist yet, I thought the bigger point was that he showed us that there are ways to find that evidence. I don't think he really has any evidence that suggests it is out there. But, yeah, I mean, it definitely shows that when you start seeing the effects of something being pulled, but it's possible that it could be something that's come out there. I mean, there's talk of other planets like Venus. I mean, the Sumerian depictions of our planet show extra planets than what we're told about, but everything else is in its right place. Is Obama as bright as he seems? New evidence reveals his college class got lower SAT scores than W. Oh, man, this hurts. That motherfucker's dumber than W. I mean, we all knew that, I guess, but Jesus Christ. Boy, have you been fooled, America. Barack Obama may have got worse high school grades than George W. Bush after new evidence shows that the current president was among a college class with poor average SAT scores. Doubts about the supposedly superior intellect of Mr. Obama were first raised after he refused to release his academic record. He's also made some factual errors during his time in the job, although he's still very long way behind his gaffe-prone predecessor. All that shit with Bush was an act. All that stuff about Bush being a retard, come on. The guy was a good actor and a retard. He's both. You can't just, say he's one and not the other. Be fair. He's a good actor and he's a retard. Obama's just a retard. Oh, well, I'm not going to be flying on any airplanes now. I just said the president was a retard. Great. Probably Secret Service probably knocking on my door. Excuse me, Mr. Reeves, we need to speak to you. We heard you say the president was a retard. This is a violation of Reichland security. You're going to have to come down to the brig with us, please. The president, who moved from Occidental Community College in Los Angeles, was among 67 students whose average combined math and verbal scores on the Scholastic Aptitude Test is 1,100. By comparison, Mr. Bush, who earned a history degree from Yale in 1968, a history degree. Jeez. Yeah. A lot of good use that is. That's a degree you get when your daddy is Poppy Bush. You know? You got 1206 out of a possible 1600. So my point here is that left, right, black, white, it doesn't matter. We only elect people president who are fucking retards. That's my point. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter. I mean, this should be a wake-up call to you, America. Regardless of who you vote for, that's going to be my campaign slogan for 2012. Regardless of who you vote for, you're voting for a fucking retard. I think we can close the books on that one. That's what that proves. A 19-year-old Egyptian university student called Aisha Mustafa has invented a futuristic propulsion system for spacecraft. Well, fuck, she's from Egypt. She was probably, digging around the pyramids. The invention leapfrogs NASA research and uses a high-tech quantum effect to drive satellites through space rather than ordinary rocket engines. Mustafa's invention generates energy using the Casimir-Poldar force, an obscure quantum effect using two surfaces and objects in a vacuum. The force is described as an invisible rubber band between bulky objects and atoms that arises from the ever-present random fluctuation of microscopic electric fields in empty space. Yeah, that's Tesla stuff there. The fluctuations get stronger near a surface, and an isolated neutral atom nearby feels the force as a pull. Yeah, this does sound like some Egyptian technology shit. Mustafa's drive, isn't exactly warp factor 10 material, but it provides enough energy for satellites to maneuver gracefully through space. Instead of using nuclear reactors or jets, Mustafa's satellites could generate drive using the panels. NASA had researched a similar idea using the Casimir-Poldar force, with the idea of generating it around a sail floating in space. So a 19-year-old succeeded where NASA failed. What does that say about NASA? Oh, not good. Stone tablets hitting... This is really interesting here. Stone tablets hidden in the Museum of Bologna's archive may contain a terrible ancient curse calling a devil goddess to bind and torment a named victim. The tablets were hidden in the archives for nearly a century, thought to have been put aside at the start of World War I, and rediscovered in 2009. The tablets are believed to be 1,600 years old. Now a translation has revealed the dark purpose of the slabs. You're not going to believe this. Listen to this. The purpose of the slabs is calling a snake-shrouded figure to bind a man who is mummified with his hands tied. He is named as Porcellus. It's always that fucking snake man, like Pythagoras. Or Cain. Anything with that strong k sound, snake. Amaraka. Cain. Pythagoras. You know, Pythagoras, his name literally means I am the python. And he would teach his initiates behind a curtain, and when you made it through all of his the initiations, he would reveal himself to you from behind the curtain. I am the python. Celia Sanchez Natalis of the University of Zaragoza has translated the strange tablets for the first time. In the foreground is a standing barefoot figure with crossed or tied hands at belly height. On his chest are a magic sign, while in the genital area is an 8-pointed star. Sinuous snakes emerge threateningly from the side of his crowned head. Below, lying down mummified and with his hands tied, or at least crossed, is the victim of the curse. Perfectly recognizable because of the inscription running down both arms, which reads, Porcellus. Carving curses into tablets was a common practice in the ancient world, with lead tablets used in some areas and stone in others. The Bologna de Foxines is unusual because of its mixture of terrifying demonic figures and text. And Natalia says it could invoke the three-formed goddess Hecate, often seen as the mother of witches. Shit. Bury that motherfucker back in the ground. Jesus Christ. That's all we need. Heinz Kissinger is going to be fucking reading from that while he's rubbing stem cell lotion on him. Let me rub the lotion on me and read these tablets. I will call up the mother goddess. Oh, it feels so good to rub it on my liver spots. That's all we need. Kill it before it fucking breeds, man. You know what I'm saying? All right. That's it for the news tonight. We're going to take a break, come back, and get into more news for you here. No, actually, we're done with the news. We're going to come back and get into our series of reading for you here tonight. How about that? And it should be a good one. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. You're listening to The Global Reality on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, your host, Josh Reeves. Stay with us. All right, back here with you on The Global Reality. Forgot to hit mute. Back here with you on The Global Reality. Right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for another late-night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. We're going to be continuing our reading The Lost Worlds of Ancient America, Chapter 6 tonight, Thousands of 6th Century Tablets in Michigan. So you Michiganders out there might want to listen up for this one. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. It's TheGlobalReality.com. We also have my email address, GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com. We are in dire need of your support right now. We've got bills coming up due next week, and we've got a film budget here. Anything we can get in this week, we need at least a couple of $100 in here this week. At least $300 towards the film budget. We've gotten $20 in the last week, and or so. Well, not counting what we got that went towards. Not counting what we got that went towards the stream bill and all that stuff. You know, I don't count. If it's just going right back out the door to pay the bills, you know, it's not really helping out the cause. I mean, it's helping the cause to pay the bills, but not towards films and all that stuff is what I mean. So just please help us out if you can. TheGlobalReality.com. We have 2 chipping banners there, one for the bills, one for the film budget. We also have a donate button. Put in any amount you want. There, up to $10,000 a day is the limit. We also have P.O. Box. We absolutely, positively can't use PayPal, and you have to send a check or money order. You can do it that way. We have a subscription amount. You can become a member and a monthly pledge donator. It'll come out of your bank account automatically every month. You can do increments from $20 on the way up to $1,000. And having a monthly amount come in, every month is a big help. So please do that. And you can also get DVDs and films of mine that I sell. That helps us out, too. The Michigan tablets have never left center stage in a controversy surrounding their authenticity since the first of their prodigious numbers surfaced in the 1840s. Since then, their leading detractor, John R. Halsey, Ph.D., a Michigan State archaeologist, in his February 2004 Ancient American article, he stated in part that the disputable artifacts are all demonstrably modern fakes. What Harvard archaeologist Stephen Williams has pronounced as one of the longest-running scams in prehistory is still alive today, more than a century after its beginning. Unfortunate proof that some people will always believe what they want to believe, no matter how preposterous the circumstances may be. In mid-November 2003, Dr. Halsey put the Michigan tablets on public display at the Michigan Historical Center in Lansing, Michigan, where he was its director, explaining yet again to an innocent public why they are not what they seem. David Allen Deal's article was a response to Dr. Halsey's statements. Until his death in 2008, Deal was especially qualified to examine a particular example of what seemed to be an astronomical device of some kind, because he had already determined that an ancient carving in Colorado signified a Saturn-Jupiter conjunction on August 8th, 471, as published in Celtic America. Yeah, that's the Nubis Caves. It's right on the Colorado-Oklahoma border in the Panhandle. I have a clip of this with that guy talking about that. Yeah, he shows all the alignment and everything. You're going to see that in my new film. So great. This is more stuff tying right into what I already have in the film. That's awesome. Another book in plain sight described his interpretation of an Arkansas petroglyph that again defined a conjunction of Jupiter with Saturn. This time adjacent to the star was sought in the constellation of Gemini as it appeared on March 30th, 710 AD. Deal was a practicing professional artist and designer, which he said of himself, did nothing to detract from my ability to interpret design and intent. The so-called Soper Savage collection has been put into the hands of John R. Halsey, a highly placed archaeologist from Michigan and curator of this newly returned but much maligned and grossly misunderstood artifact corpus. It is publicly displayed at a state institution, the Michigan Historical Center, where Mr. Halsey has a written document that conforms perfectly and quite nicely to the long-standing dogma of John Wesley Powell. Powell was the formidable and dictatorial director of the Smithsonian Institution's Bureau of Ethnology, who in the century before last set down a dictum that has ruled the academic roost in American anthropology, that is, for more than 100 years. Ever since no American antiquarian, archaeologist, or anthropologist worth his academic salt ever wavers from Major Powell's hardcore line. In Dr. Halsey's case, the pattern is predictably familiar. He does toe the mark precisely. As positive proof that Dr. Halsey's opinions are simply those of other higher-ups, he has provided a large portion of the standard set of well-known and much disparaged valid ancient American artifacts, among them the Kensington runestone, which now has been supported, contrary to his assertions, by state-of-the-art geological testing. Mr. Halsey is apparently not aware of this new information. To his mind, it is a fake. Neither is it probable that he can actually read runic Norse Firthark letters to scientifically demonstrate his conclusion. Least of all, invalidate laboratory tests confirming the runestone's 15th century provenance. Mr. Halsey's other well-known archaeological hoaxes such as the Newark Holy Stones, the Davenport Tablets, and the Cardiff Giant, are among the most hated relics by establishment academics in America, proponents of the Powell Doctrine. After lumping the entire Soper Savage collection together with these allegedly fraudulent examples, Mr. Halsey goes on to inform us that the pseudo-cuneiform monogram, which is found on nearly every item in the entire corpus of thousands of Michigan artifacts, represents IHP, being somehow related to the HIS of Roman HIS of Roman Christianity. Precisely how or by what linguistic knowledge, logic, or expertise he employs to conclude this claim, we are left in a state of total darkness. The great mid-20th century cryptanalyst Henriette Mertz also made a similar error, but admitted that she might be wrong about it. She did recognize the Coptic nature of the religion, however, which is something more than Mr. Halsey has been able to muster. He has given nothing more than his opinion. Please remember, he is a state archaeologist trained in America for American tastes and not of or for the old world, where these languages were studied by academics. Scholars were trained not to expect such things here in America. In fact, American archaeologists refrain from using words such as necropolis for New World cemeteries, primarily because they are trained to separate the two worlds, old and new. A word such as necropolis carries with it a hint of ancient Greece or Egypt, and that would never do in American archaeology, simply not permitted. The real difficulty is that Mr. Halsey is reading from left to right, and this is his major malfunction. Oh, see, that explains why. Okay. So that explains why they call the United States is the only country, America's the only country where mounds are called mounds. They're called pyramids in every other part of the world. That's because to imply that pyramid means it's somehow connected to Mayan things or Egyptian things, and oh, you can't believe that because that'd give you too much of the truth, because then your timeline would get turned around backwards and you'd start getting closer to finding out the real deal here. The text reads from right to left, as does Hebrew. The writer has no accurate knowledge or opinion on the Cardiff Giant, but we might well add to Mr. Halsey's litany some other unwanted by American academia, but found in America archaeological evidence, which the establishment continues to sweep under the old time-worn rug of cultural isolation. We felt compelled to add Mr. Halsey's list of hated by the establishment artifacts, several others that tend to disprove Powell's nearsighted and limited pre-Victorian age ideas that have become coagulated, solidified, and found so prevalent to this very day in our schools of higher indoctrination. All of these American artifacts are constantly berated by the academics and have always stood blatantly in the way of the standard and accepted Powell dictum dogma. First is the infamous Los Lunas inscription in New Mexico, where the oldest recorded star date in America is found directly associated with a major Ten Commandment lapidary inscription. Got footage of that in the film, too, by the way. Inscribed in ancient Paleo-Hebrew. Yeah, it's been vandalized so that you can't read the inscriptions anymore because of what it is. And one of the things we talked about last week, one of these maze stones in California, they've got a big fence around it because they don't want anybody doing to that what they did to that one. This artifact site was also fully supported by Dr. Cyrus Gordon, who definitely did not march to academia's drummer, but was a highly respected linguist around the world. We will definitely add the Ohio Decalogue to our list. Halsey loosely makes reference to it and a companion artifact as the Newark Holy Stones. We shall be a little more specific. It was discovered under a huge dismantled ancient cairn of rocks, 45 feet high and 50 feet wide at about 1860. The elegant carved object was found within its own stone coffin box. It features a figure of Moses and the Ten Commandments carved in monumental Hebrew all around it. Immediately dismissed as a fraud after a cursory examination by several academic experts, their classification went unchallenged until recent years. Throughout the rest of the 19th century and for half of the next, the Ohio Decalogue inscription was chiefly disregarded by professional epigraphers because it had been written in a form of Hebrew they could not recognize because it was pre-Hebrew. Because it was unknown to them, they concluded it had to be an amateurish fake, subsequently discarded as monumental Hebrew. Shortly after World War II, an entire series of tablets and pottery shards dating from the 5th century BC, newly unearthed in Palestine, were covered with the same kind of monumental Hebrew appearing on the Ohio Decalogue stone. Despite this embarrassing discovery, no mainstream archaeologist has credited the Ohio Decalogue stone as the authentically ancient artifact that it is. Both the Los Lunas site and Ohio Decalogue stone are cited here to show that the Michigan tablets are not unique, but should be regarded rather in the context of other related finds, the pre-Columbian authenticity of which has been established. There is a consistent graphic, illustrative theme running throughout the Michigan artifacts, none known and unrecognized by Mr. Halsey in his blissful state of official academic ignorance, who sees them merely as casual biblical scenes. On the overwhelming majority of these tablets, there is a being called YHW. And we know what YHW is. That's Yahweh. What's that doing in ancient things here in the United States? See, this is part of what I'm going to be getting into here with this film. And God, please help us out, folks. I'm begging you to please help us out with this film. This information is just fucking mind blowing. It makes me sick to my stomach to think that this may not get out. Please help us out if you can, man. Really, seriously. I'm just sitting here reading this, and I'm already on to all this, and we've already got clips of some of this in the film. I'm just going, my God, it's just amazing to me. I mean, I found all this on my own, and finding this book and reading this is just so refreshing because it lets me know that I'm on the right track and that there are other people that have been out there for years already on to this, YHW is Yahweh. They found inscriptions in the United States that say Yahweh on them? Holy jumping Jupiter, motherfucker. In the words of the professor, Great Scott. YHW Yahweh, written in a totally discrete 4th century AD alphabet I deciphered some years ago as a cuneiform styled Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, never been seen before or since. Right. Amorites. That's an Amorite language. This highest of beings is usually not shown in full facial likeness. One of the tablets, he is called YHW or Yahweh, and nearly always shown above two subordinate deities, the Elohim, who are in constant competition, no, actually warfare, even to the point of death on some tablets. And Man Hydra, our webmaster, pointed out earlier that in gematria, Elohim is the equivalent of Mount. And I did shit on myself and have to go into the bathroom and wipe and change my pants, literally, because, I already know that these Amorites are giants. These are the red-haired Caucasian mummies they found all over the world, even in the United States. This is them. And I know that they're the mound builders. I have the evidence. I know that they got their fuck on with primitives and changed the entire bloodline and were responsible for the tribes, the people that started setting up different tribes of ancient American Indians. So this tablet has Yahweh. It shows a war going on with these. This is just mind blowing. War going on with the mound builders. What the fuck? Warfare, even to the point of death on some tablets. One is a younger son of the right hand. The other is a son of the left hand. Left hand path, right hand path, right? That's some Masonic shit. finally defeated and burned on a pyre evil elder of the two subordinate divinities. Both are messiahs intent on winning power over mankind, one for good and one for evil. This is not a recognizable Trinitarian Christian doctrine. In common parlance, we might say Yahweh is a great mighty one who created the universe, whose son, the good one, created all life on earth. Well, that sounds like Anu and Enki, doesn't it? And whose brother is trying to defeat him. That sounds like Enlil, doesn't it? As graphically portrayed on several tablets and clearly not a modern Christian concept. No, not your nominal Christian fare. In fact, no Christian religious sect in the 1860s or even now could have produced this doctrinal statement, either in written or graphic form. That is, if we are logically to base the idea of artifact manufacture on the overall doctrines and dogma of their creators. This specific religious doctrine portrayed on the Michigan tablets is anathema to Christians and Jews alike. It is surely not a Trinity doctrine, but Mr. Halsey did not quite notice this fine point of graphic and doctrinal religious details. All the other minute details of these tablets can be shown to be biblical stories of creation. The flood, Adam and Eve, Abraham, Moses, and the Exodus. Well, those are all Anunnaki stories. Those appear in Sumerian texts long before they appear in the Bible, bub. That's a fact. Additionally, there is portrayed the life and deeds of the Messiah, Yahshua, commonly called Jesus, where Joshua comes from, and some very readable Egyptian hieroglyphs in contrast to what Mr. Halsey claims are Aristat's Egyptian art hieroglyphs, indicating gross fraud by Mr. Scottford, according to Mr. Halsey, now our linguist expert. One wonders if Mr. Halsey is truly well-founded in real Egyptian hieroglyphs. Mr. Halsey accurately states the stylized cuneiform letters are a pseudo-cuneiform hieroglyph monogram. Actually, his is a correct statement. This previously unknown American alphabet is a pseudo-form of cuneiform when compared to Akkadian and Assyrian or Rosh Hashanah Syrian styles. But would Mr. Halsey also be an expert or be able to read and understand those real cuneiform styles, as well as being an expert in Egyptian hieroglyphs? Norse, runic, Futhark writings, ancient Hebrew, or even modern Hebrew. He is a truly amazing man, if so, but we digress. Good points all, but off the main one. It has been reported that a Professor Edwin Worth displayed a collection of the Michigan tablets, first in Detroit and later in New York, beginning in the 1860s. Many years before the 1874 discoveries of James Scottford that caused so much disbelief among archaeologists such as Mr. Halsey, a follower of establishment precedent. So much for John Halsey's stated belief that Mr. Scottford fraudulently created all of these Michigan artifacts and placed them in the ground where Detroit to the Upper Peninsula and elsewhere. In 1895, the 3rd century Coptic Gnostic Christian Petitsis Sophia was translated by a French Egyptologist and Coptic scholar named Amalinu. Its text relates the Gnostic teachings and the transfigured Jesus to the assembled disciples, including his mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and Martha. The Pistis Sophia reveals the complex structures and hierarchies of heaven familiar in Gnostic teachings. For some time previous, about 1851, a German scholar named Schwartz had made a Latin version, but was known only to a few European scholars and not published per se, save in a limited French language edition. In 1891, Adolf von Harnack, Germany's prominent theologian and church historian, pointed out also one or two other vague indications, such as a reference to persecution, from which he concluded that it was written at a date when the Christians were lawfully persecuted. These considerations led him to assign the most probable date of composition to the second half of the 3rd century, and the arcane religious doctrine of these early Gnostic Christian Egyptians called Copts, spelled out in the Pistis Sophia. We see that the doctrine portrayed here in words is exactly the same as that which is graphically portrayed on the Michigan tablets. Then, in the Pistis Sophia, at a level just beneath the Holy Father, are two subordinate beings, both sons, both deities, one good, one bad. One called Lesser Yahweh, or Little Sabbath the Good, son of the right hand. And the other deity, the devil, Samael, evil son of the left hand, also a traditional Jewish version of Satan who was, according to these traditions, Esau's spiritual advisor. In short, the Michigan artifacts compare to Gnostic Coptic Christianity. On the basis of this simple, easily understood, consistently graphic doctrinal content found widely spread throughout the tablets of the Michigan artifacts, compared to the then unknown Coptic religious doctrine, which is very foreign to nominal Christianity. It may be concluded that these artifacts are real, ancient American documents created by escaping refugees for the Mediterranean. Well, when the Amorites fled, this is a fact, from the Middle East, they were giants, red-haired giants. When they were kicked out of Mesopotamia, they fled west to their copper mines that they had been excavating and mining copper from for years and bringing it back over to the Middle East. And they fled to the land where their copper mines were located. And I've got the clips of them finding copper mines ancient copper mines all throughout Michigan, folks, where these were found. And their copper has been found all over the world. And again, this is a pre-Hebrew. There's just no question. That's who did it. I mean, I've got all the evidence now. They were nothing more. They were nothing more than Coptic Egyptian Gnostic Christians who had been persecuted by Emperor Constantine's post-Nicene Council. Anti-Arianism pogroms. The Arians belonged to Gnostic Christian sect deemed criminally heretical by the established church. Yeah, they were the Arians. That's exactly what they were. They found evidence of Zoroastrianism in that cave, that Anubis cave we were talking about earlier. These specific anti-Arian edicts were codified in 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea, with Constantine having the only vote. Also, it can be concluded a truism that absolutely no Trinitarian-based American Christian religious person assumed to be the forger could have possibly faked this precise, ancient, and long-lost Coptic Christian doctrine out of thin air, particularly based on a work yet to be published anywhere in the world or remotely even known at the time of the first Michigan artifact finds made by post-hole diggers and sewer workers, certainly not by Messers or by Soper and Savage, as Mr. Halsey, the authoritative state archaeologist, claims in his fabulous document dismissing these ancient artifacts as fakes. If the precise doctrine of these early Egyptian Copts, which was unknown in the modern world before the 1860s when the Michigan artifacts began turning up, containing a theology that is anathema to Christianity as practiced today, and because this doctrine is found accurately portrayed on the majority of them, and this previously long-lost Coptic theology was not published anywhere in the world before 1895, how could these Michigan artifacts, which predated the first published work on Gnostic Coptic religions, be fakes? And it's funny because that story backs up exactly what the Sumerian texts talk about. Oh, man. This is going to be heavy stuff. Whoever made these strange and sometimes crude Michigan artifacts was clearly knowledgeable of their own Coptic-based doctrine, which was a Christian religion, but not like any known to the 19th century Americans or mainline Christian sects today. Although presently revealed sufficiently by a brief perusal of the Pistis Sophia, Mr. Halsey condemns these artifacts for their crudely modeled nature, but did each and every ancient community harbor a Da Vinci or Michelangelo? The Michigan artifacts are very crude-looking, but they could not be cast off for this reason alone. having these ancient American artifacts safely in any museum, but in his care is a bit like having one's mother-in-law drive his new Ferrari Enzo off a cliff. Mixed emotions, to be sure. So that's the end of Chapter 6, The Lost Worlds of Ancient America. Chapter 7, Canada's Viking Hammer of Thor, is where we will pick up next time on the show. So amazing stuff there. Definitely go back and give that another listen. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that backs up my research for this film 100%. Want to thank everybody for being with us and tuning into the show here tonight. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. It's TheGlobalReality.com. Please support our work if you can, folks. We need to get a couple $100 in here for this budget, and we need your help. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you next time. You guys have yourselves a nice one. Take care.